My name is Clara. I'm 34 years old. I've never thought of myself as special, but I've always carried my own weight. 10 years ago, I opened my first flower shop with nothing but alone sleepless nights and stubborn willpower. By now, I run two shops. The income isn't glamorous, but it's steady. When the pandemic hit, I nearly lost everything cutting staff working 16-hour days, crying into invoices I wasn't sure I could pay. Somehow, I clawed my way through it. I still carry the exhaustion in my bones, but at least I survived. My parents never invested a dollar into my business. That was fine. What wasn't fine was how they slowly turned my earnings into a family lifeline. At first, it was small, a refrigerator for my mom car repairs, for my dad rent for my younger sister Gloria. I gave freely, no strings attached. But generosity, once constant, turns invisible. My help became expected. Calls came monthly, sometimes weekly. My mother reminded me it was my duty as the successful one. My father agreed with her, silent but firm. Gloria didn't argue. She just nodded and let me cover her emergencies. Over the years, I gave them thousands. I stopped counting, maybe because I didn't want to admit to myself how much of my own dreams I'd postponed to keep theirs afloat. Last month, they invited me to dinner saying it was something serious. I thought it might be about Dad's health. Instead, my mother cooked her best dishes and everyone acted like they were on stage rehearsed. Gloria cleared her throat, cheeks glowing, and announced that Mark, her boyfriend of a year, had proposed. She was getting married. I smiled. I hugged her. Congratulations, I said, and I meant it. But Gloria's smile faded as quickly as it came. She slid a sheet of paper toward me across the table. A detailed budget, every line neatly itemized. Venue catering flowers, dresses, photography decorations. At the bottom was a number that made my chest tighten. 80,000. I stared at it, then at her. You can't be serious. Gloria leaned forward, her voice soft but laced with steel. This is my wedding, Clara. It has to be perfect. You've always helped before. You'll help now. I laughed bitter sharp. $80,000. That's insane. I don't even have that kind of money sitting around. I'm saving for my third store, not funding a royal wedding. Her face turned red. Selfish. You've always been selfish. I'm your sister, and this is the biggest day of my life. Don't you dare tell me you can't afford it. Mom jumped in, eyes narrowed. Clara, you run two shops. You've survived worse. This is your responsibility. Don't embarrass us. Even Dad, quiet as always, wouldn't meet my eyes, but his silence spoke volumes. Something snapped inside me. I work myself into the ground to keep that business alive. I've given you thousands, and you still act like it's never enough. $80,000 for a wedding. Most people live a year on that. Gloria's voice rose to a scream. You're supposed to be my sister. How could you deny me this? Do you want me to look pathetic in front of Mark's family? Do you want me humiliated on my own wedding day? Her words hit harder than I wanted to admit. Guilt pricked at me, but anger burned hotter. I grabbed my purse and stormed out, their voices chasing me down the hallway. At home, I sat in the dark phone, buzzing with messages. Gloria called me a monster. My mother said I was cruel, heartless. My father finally sent a single line, reconsider Clara. Don't destroy the family for money. I almost blocked them all that night, but guilt gnawed relentless. Gloria was my sister. Could I really let her wedding collapse because of me? After hours of pacing, I typed a message with shaking fingers. I'll give you 30,000. That's my final offer. Gloria's reply was one word, okay, like she was doing me a favor. My mother followed with another message. We're disappointed, but we'll accept your modest help. Modest $30,000. I wired the money the next day. As I hit send, a chill went through me. Instead of relief, I felt something hollow. A voice deep inside whispered, this isn't the end. This is just the beginning. For 2 months after I sent the transfer, my family treated me like a ghost. Not a single call, not a single text. My parents used to ring whenever their water bill was late, but now nothing. At first I was relieved. Silence felt like freedom. I poured myself into scouting locations for a third shop, convincing myself I didn't care. But late at night, lying in bed, I'd stare at the ceiling and wonder what were they planning without me. Why did it feel like I had been erased? Finally, unable to stand it, I called my mother. She answered after the third ring, her tone brisk as if I were some telemarketer. When I asked how the wedding was coming along, she said, everything's fine. 2 weeks away. Nothing more. I pressed. Why hasn't Gloria sent me an invitation? There was a pause, then she muttered something about being busy and hung up. Half an hour later, an email appeared. No greeting, no note, just a polished PDF. You are invited to the wedding of Gloria and Mark. Date, time, location. Nothing personal, nothing sisterly. I stared at it, pulse pounding. For a moment, I wanted to delete it and pretend it never arrived. But another part of me whispered, she's still your sister. Don't make this worse. A few days later, a call came from the wedding planner. They wanted me to provide the floral arrangements. Of course they did. I almost said no, but against my better judgment, I agreed. If nothing else, it would be my gift, one last attempt to show I cared. For days, I worked like an artist possessed. Roses, orchids, peonies, everything perfect. I spent over $1,500 of my own money, crafting centerpieces, bouquets, archway garlands. As I placed the final rose into a vase, I told myself, this will remind her who's always been there for her. The wedding day arrived with a winter sky, the color of pewter. I woke early, curling my hair, slipping into the dark blue evening dress. I'd bought matching shoes and a small silver handbag. When I looked in the mirror, I almost smiled. I wanted to look like someone who belonged. Driving up to the hotel venue, I saw the parking lot already brimming with luxury cars. Guests spilled out in tuxedos and glittering gowns. I recognized a few distant relatives who waved politely, as if I were just another guest. At the grand entrance, a security guard stood with a tablet checking names. It struck me as ridiculous who hires security for a wedding, but I kept walking, clutching my purse, rehearsing a smile. Name, he asked. Clara. His eyes flicked to the screen. He scrolled, stopped. His brows knit together. Then he tapped something, and my stomach dropped. He turned the screen toward me. My photo filled the display larger than life. Beneath it, one word blazed in red. Forbidden. I blinked, sure it had to be a mistake. What is this? The guard's voice was professional, detached. You are prohibited from entering. Direct orders from the bride and her parents. My mouth went dry. That can't be right. I'm her sister. I paid. He cut me off. I'm sorry, ma'am. You're not allowed inside. My chest tightened. I turned, scanning the crowd, until my eyes found my mother across the courtyard, chatting animatedly with guests. My voice cracked as I called her name. She froze when she saw me, then walked over with unsettling calm. Why won't they let me in? I demanded, voice trembling. She didn't flinch. The guard followed instructions. You've given too little, Clara. You chose to be stingy, and so the family council decided you don't deserve to be here. Her words hit like a physical blow. I staggered back, gripping the strap of my purse so hard my knuckles whitened. People nearby were already staring, whispering. My mother, the woman who had carried me in her womb, looked at me as though I were a stranger trespassing. I felt heat rise in my face, shame and fury tangling into something unbearable. I gave $30,000, I hissed. Do you have any idea? Her lips curved into something close to disdain. It was your duty, not generosity. Duty. And it wasn't enough. Now please leave before you embarrass us further. The words slammed into me harder than if she had struck me across the face. I stood frozen, surrounded by murmurs, while my own mother dismissed me like trash. I turned away, legs numb, walking blindly toward the parking lot. Inside I was collapsing, but I forced my chin high. Each step echoed with humiliation. By the time I reached my car, my hands were shaking so violently I could barely grip the keys. And then my phone began to ring. An unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something told me to answer. Hello, my voice cracked. On the other end, a woman spoke, her tone clipped and furious. Clara, this is Patricia Mark's mother. We need to talk. Right now. Patricia's voice was sharp as a knife through the line. I just witnessed what happened at the entrance. Your mother dismissing you, unforgivable. But that's not the only disgrace tonight. I gripped the steering wheel, breath shaky. What do you mean? She didn't hesitate. Mark's father and I gave Gloria $30,000 for this wedding. We assumed your parents had covered the rest, but Mark just confessed you alone paid. Your parents contributed nothing. Nothing, Clara. The words hollowed me out. So all that pressure, all those accusations, they exploited you, she cut in, and lied to us. Well, we won't be humiliated by this family. The wedding is canceled. As of tonight, I couldn't breathe. A canceled wedding. After all that spectacle, all that money. Patricia's fury pulsed through the phone. We'll make sure you get back what's owed. They don't deserve you. Do you hear me? I whispered yes, but my chest felt tight, a storm of relief, guilt, and rage colliding. When I hung up, I sat in my driveway for what felt like hours, replaying my mother's cold dismissal. Then pounding shook my front door. Clara, open up. Gloria's voice pierced the night. I froze, heart hammering. You ruined everything, she screamed. Mark's parents canceled the wedding because of you. You wanted this, didn't you? You planned it. Her fist thudded against the doorframe. I stepped close, but didn't unlock it. My voice was calm, steady, scarier than if I'd yelled. No, Gloria. You ruined everything the moment you put my name on that blacklist. You humiliated yourself. She sobbed, her words breaking. Talk to them. Tell them you'll fix this. Please. I won't lie for you, I said, my throat raw. Not this time. There was a sharp cry. Then her footsteps pounded away into the night. I stayed there, forehead pressed against the door, trembling with something that felt like grief. Minutes later, my phone buzzed again. This time, both of my parents on speaker shouting over one another. You've disgraced us. You destroyed your sister's future after everything we did for you. Something inside me snapped. My voice cut through their tirade like glass shattering. Everything you did for me, I've carried this family for years. Paid your bills, fixed your cars, funded your lives, and still you chose her over me. You let your firstborn daughter be put on a forbidden list. You don't get to lecture me anymore. And I hung up. I blocked every number. For the first time in my life, I chose silence. Days passed in a haze. Then one afternoon, the bell above my flower shop door jingled. Mark stood there. He looked like a ghost-eyes, red-rimmed suit, rumpled dark stubble across his jaw. He walked to the counter and spoke before I could ask. I came to apologize. His voice cracked. I knew what Gloria did. I didn't stop her. I should have. I crossed my arms. Why are you here, Mark? He pulled a folder from his bag and slid it across the counter. My parents made us sign this. It's a repayment agreement. $25,000 returned to you within a year. I flipped through the pages. Official signatures, legal deadlines, real consequences if they defaulted. My chest loosened just a little. Mark rubbed his face with shaking hands. I don't expect forgiveness, but I couldn't let it end like this. I signed, pushed the folder back. He gave a small nod and left without another word. The next month, $2,000 appeared in my account, but alongside the transfer was a note in the payment comments for the cheap sister. My hands tightened around the phone until it hurt. I almost typed a reply, but I didn't. Month after month, the payments came. Each one carried the same venom for the cheapskate, for the stingy one, for the unworthy sister. I said nothing. I let the insults collect in silence like dust on the shelves. Each dollar they returned wasn't just money. It was proof that they couldn't erase what they'd done. And I was done letting their poison control me. Spring bled into summer, and slowly my life began to rebuild itself. The repayments kept coming, $2,000 a month, each one laced with a fresh insult. For the cheap one, for the greedy one. I stopped reading them after a while. Money is money, no matter the venom it carries. But while Gloria tried to poison me from afar, someone else appeared in my life with unexpected kindness, Patricia, Mark's mother. She stopped by my flower shop one afternoon with coffee in hand, her smile warm, maternal, in a way my own mother had never managed. You deserve better than what they did to you, she said, sitting across from me as I arranged tulips. Somehow she became the family I didn't know I needed. She asked about my business, offered advice, and one day mentioned she worked as a realtor. When I confessed I was hunting for a third store location, she lit up. Let me help. Within weeks, she found me the perfect spot. Good foot traffic fair. Rent a clean, sunlit space that felt like hope. I signed the lease without hesitation. It didn't stop there. Patricia introduced me to Richard, a well-known wedding planner. We met at a cafe, and he studied my floral portfolio with thoughtful eyes. Your work is elegant, reliable. I could use someone like you. A week later, he called back with a contract floral arrangements for 20 weddings a year. My hands shook as I signed. This wasn't just a deal. It was stability. For the first time in years, I felt the weight lift off my shoulders. I hired 2 new employees, upgraded my supplies, even gave my staff small raises. My shops weren't just surviving anymore, they were thriving. And still, Gloria's payments trickled in with spiteful notes. I let them pile up silently, refusing to give her the satisfaction of a reply. Then, one evening, my phone rang. The number was familiar. Against my better judgment, I answered. Her voice came through, sharp as ever. I'm pregnant. For a moment, I was silent. A strange cocktail of emotions surged through me. Resentment, disbelief, something dangerously close to joy. She didn't wait. So you need to forgive the rest of the debt. I can't keep paying like this with a baby on the way. I laughed, cold and bitter. You want me to erase your debt because you're having a child? No, Gloria, not this time, she hissed. You're so heartless. Heartless. My voice cut like steel. Heartless was blacklisting me from your wedding. Heartless was calling me stingy while spending my money. I'll never forget that. There was a pause, then I softened just slightly. But I'll give you some relief. 1,000 a month instead of 2. For a year. After that, every cent is still owed. She gasped, furious. You're still greedy. No, I said, calmer now. I've just finally learned how to set terms. I hung up before she could spit more venom. Months passed. My third shop thrived, bouquets flying out the door, wedding contracts steady. My life grew brighter with every sale, every smile from a satisfied customer. Then Patricia sent me a photo that stopped me cold. A newborn wrapped in a pale blanket, tiny fists curled, dark hair glistening. Gloria's child, my nephew. For the first time in a long while, my throat ached with something dangerously close to longing. I saved the photo, silently staring at his small face until tears blurred my vision. And I wondered, how can a baby be innocent when born into so much bitterness? By the time autumn turned crisp and leaves littered the streets, the final repayment landed in my account. $25,000. Every cent Gloria had owed me returned. No more poison-filled comments in the transfer notes. No more reminders. For a moment I thought I'd feel triumphant. Instead, I stared at the balance on my screen and felt empty. Money doesn't stitch wounds shut. That evening, a message arrived from an unknown number. My father's voice typed in clumsy phrases. It's time to let go of the grudges. We know we hurt you. We've spoken to Gloria. We all made mistakes. Please, let's be family again. A second message followed, this time from my mother. I regret everything. I was blind. Please forgive us. Come back to us. I read them again and again, emotions swirling, anger, sorrow, disbelief. After everything they had done, after how coldly they had cast me out. Now they wanted forgiveness with a few words. I didn't reply. A week later, Patricia called. Her voice was gentle but insistent. Clara, Christmas is coming. I want you here. Gloria and your parents will be there too. It's time. Patricia, my throat tightened. You don't know what you're asking. Yes, I do. Her tone softened. Families can break, Clara, but sometimes they can also bend back together. Come for Jacob, if not for them. Jacob, my nephew, the child I'd only seen in photos, something inside me shifted. I thought about it for days. Then I bought a soft teddy bear, tiny winter clothes, and placed them carefully in a gift bag, not knowing whether I'd give them myself or leave them on Patricia's doorstep. Christmas Eve arrived with frosty air and glowing houses. Patricia's home gleamed with lights and warmth. I parked out front and sat in my car, heart-hammering hands, gripping the steering wheel. Through the window, I saw silhouettes moving inside, laughter faintly carried out with the smell of roasted turkey. I almost drove away, but instead I forced my legs to move. Patricia opened the door before I knocked. I'm glad you came, she whispered, pulling me into a hug. The scent of pine and cinnamon hit me as I stepped inside. A towering Christmas tree glimmered in the living room. The fireplace crackled, and then I saw them. My parents by the hearth, older, smaller somehow. Gloria on the couch cradling Jacob, and Mark standing awkwardly nearby. The room froze. No one spoke. The air felt heavy with unsaid words. Then Jacob made a tiny sound, a soft coo. Mark stepped forward, gently offering him to me. Would you like to hold him? I nodded, almost dazed. He placed the baby in my arms. Warmth radiated through me as Jacob blinked up at me, tiny lips curving in a fragile smile. Something in me broke and mended all at once. Gloria rose, her voice quiet, almost mechanical. His name is Jacob. It's a beautiful name, I said softly. But the moment was fleeting. Gloria's expression stayed unreadable. She took him back quickly, as if afraid I might claim more than a smile. Dinner was served: golden turkey, mashed potatoes, pies. We passed dishes in silence, the clinking of cutlery louder than any words. Patricia tried to keep conversation alive, but the tension was thick. Finally, my father cleared his throat. His voice trembled. Clara, I'm sorry. I failed you as a father. I let your mother and Gloria treat you like a bank instead of a daughter. I should have stood up for you. My mother's eyes brimmed with tears. I thought I was protecting Gloria, but I was blind to how much I hurt you. I'm sorry. I looked at them both. The part of me that had waited years for these words trembled, but another part stayed cautious. Wounds don't vanish with apologies. And you, Gloria, I asked quietly. She lifted her head, eyes glassy, but voice flat. I'm sorry for the blacklist. It was wrong. I was angry. I didn't mean it. But the words rang hollow, rehearsed. She didn't mean them. Not yet. I breathed deeply. I appreciate the apologies, but things don't just go back to normal. Trust takes time, and you broke it. My mother's sob broke the silence. My father reached for her hand. The rest of the meal passed in uneasy quiet. Yet, when Jacob threw mashed potatoes onto the floor and giggled, we all laughed soft, surprised, the first shared moment in months. For the first time, I wondered if maybe, just maybe, there was a way forward. After dinner, we drifted into the living room. Patricia carried in coffee and cookies, her voice cheerfully filling the silence that no one else dared to break. I sat on the edge of the couch watching Jacob crawl toward the Christmas tree, fascinated by the blinking lights. Gloria hovered close, protective, but for once she didn't look at me with hatred, only exhaustion. I reached into the bag I'd brought and pulled out the teddy bear and baby clothes. I handed them gently to Gloria. For Jacob, I said simply. She stared at the gift's lips pressed tight. Then, almost reluctantly, she whispered, "Thank you." It wasn't warm, it wasn't healing, but it wasn't venom either. For Gloria, that was something. Mark's father leaned forward, asking about my business. I told him about the new shop, the steady stream of weddings, thanks to Richard's contract. For the first time in months, someone in this room looked at me with genuine pride. "You've built something remarkable, Clara," he said, and I realized how desperately I had needed to hear words like that, not from him, but from my own parents. The evening passed with scattered moments like this, Jacob babbling, my mother dabbing at her eyes, my father pouring himself a second glass of wine in silence. We weren't healed, we weren't even close, but we were present. That alone felt like progress. When it was time to leave, Patricia walked me to the door. Her eyes softened. Tonight wasn't perfect, but it's a start. I nodded. Baby steps. Outside, the cold air stung my face as I clutched my coat tighter. I slid into my car and sat for a moment staring at the glowing house behind me. They were still my family, no matter how much damage had been done. But for the first time, I understood something important. Reconciliation doesn't mean surrender. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. And peace. Peace could exist even without trust. I didn't know if I would ever fully forgive Gloria for blacklisting me or my parents for standing by her. But I knew this, I would never again let anyone treat me as their bank, their backup plan, their scapegoat. I had rebuilt myself from ashes. I had found unexpected allies. Patricia, Richard, my employees. My life was full in ways it had never been before. And as I drove away, headlights slicing through the winter night, I felt something I hadn't in a long time. Not happiness, not closure, something steadier. Peace. That was enough.